My name is Heather, and I'm sharing my story of healing and recovery through creativity as a means to inspire others who may be suffering or have suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. I worked in law enforcement for the last 21 years. I loved my job. I lived and breathed my job. I was a promoted rank, and at the end of my career, I was in charge of my own section. But when my resilience ran out and PTSD settled in, my life began to flash before my eyes. Traumatic incidents that had happened to me over my career began to just compile and build up on me all at once. The most damaging one was the memory of a hanging that happened in 2011. I was walking into cell block to deliver some paperwork, and as I entered cell block, the cell guard was hollering at me that somebody was hanging and I needed to do something. I quickly ran into the cell block, climbed the pony wall, and using a knife that I carried on my side, I was able to cut the man down. As we landed, I checked to make sure that he was breathing, and I put him in the recovery position. I don't really remember a whole lot more than that, other than it was shortly after that I had received an award for making a decision that saved a life. But in 2021, that memory turned into a nightmare for me again. And I began to have nightmares and feeling horrible about it. I felt the anguish, I felt the worry, I felt the fear, I felt the responsibility. Everything that I should have felt back in the day that it happened, I felt at that time. And I became angry and upset. It played over and over in my mind, and I became hypersensitive. I couldn't sleep and I wouldn't eat. The next few days for weeks was torture for me, and I just couldn't really tolerate life. My window of tolerance was completely shut. I was so angry. I was being chased by past traumas all the time, including a childhood sexual assault and many other incidents throughout my career. PTSD is the pain and the anguish that was the result of my moral injury. And my moral injury was severe because the symptoms were severe. I had begun to starve myself. I just couldn't tolerate thinking about the past, the present, or the future. My window of tolerance was shut. Ironically, I was at the end of my own rope. I was self-aware enough to know that I needed to seek help. I saw my family doctor, who immediately sent me to the crisis team at the hospital. The crisis team did release me rather than admit me into my husband's care. I went home to hide in my house as I didn't trust the community. I was afraid of anybody that was around me, and so I just hid. Only my family knew the trauma that I had sustained and how I was doing.
I'm Carol, and I'm Heather's mom, and we're gathered here for the first time to talk about this journey that she's been on. We haven't really had a chance to sit and talk all together about it, so this might be a little bit difficult for some of us, I think, but also really important that we all cared about her, and we're people we're her family. We love her very much, and we're much affected by everything that went on. So.
Okay, well, I'm Bethany Ran. I'm her youngest daughter.
I'm Abby. I'm her eldest.
I'm Travis. I'm her husband.
I guess I'm a lot more upset by it than I thought because I'm going to be teary. But she's always been so strong and so in control, and sometimes maybe too much control, but always very much in control and taking care of all of us all the time. I mean, even when she's little, she took care of me, right? So to see her broken, and when those first days, and there was days and days of phone calls. Like I'd been on the phone with her as she tried to go through it, try to figure out what's going on. And just so in that, and she couldn't do anything else. And she was just trying to understand what happened and trying to go through the events, and her strength at sensing that she knew something was really wrong and she needed to help herself. That was, to me, incredible. I mean, she's always been awesome, but that's a pretty awesome thing too, because I wanted to help her as much as I could, but I don't know what to do. Except to listen. Yeah. And for you, Beth, what?
I felt like it was at a serious point because personally I felt like my mom was always the conflict solver in our family. Yeah. Whether it's a conflict between me and myself, conflict between Abby and I, just anything going on in our daily lives, she was our problem solver. So when it became a time where she couldn't problem solve for us, and we kind of had to do it on our own and look for comfort elsewhere other than our mother, I felt like that was when I kind of realized something wasn't totally right with her. She wasn't being herself, or what we thought was herself. I just feel like that was the time it was really noticeable that there was a drastic change in her personality, in her just day-to-day life, and how she reacted and treated other people. What about you, Abby?
I guess I knew what was happening when Mom just told me what happened at work. So then Mom's behavior at work was obviously different and more emotionally charged. And she just, everything was more emotionally charged than she's ever been her entire life. I've never seen her show an emotion, so.
The hardest part.
Well, Travis, what was the hardest part for you personally with Mom?
The hardest part, there's a few. Seeing her not as strong as she used to be, kind of broken, I guess you can put it. I've never seen her broken. She always carried herself pretty high, and now she's on the low end, but especially when she came on the road with me and she slept a lot. She was always confused on her days, on the time. I don't, I think that's,
Were your conversations different than what they were before she went through it?
there wasn't much. I just let her speak. I listened. I didn't talk to her. Like, I talked to her, but I just more or less listened to her because she needed to express a lot. So I was just there for her to listen.
Yeah.
She needed something like that. So, and I was around her a lot, so I was more or less her leaning post, I guess.
Sounding board. Yeah.
So.
I think for me, like, it's all hard when it's your kid. But Heather has always been more than just my kid, and just the strongest person that I know, and we all depend on her. And I think for me it was like, holy crow, like around in all of our lives we have people who have problems and issues and stuff, and as you know, in a family we do that, right? And you think, well, the one person that we can count on here that's going to take care of things or kind of get things done is going to be Heather. She's the strongest one in our family. I've always felt that. And all of a sudden to have her like pulling that pin, it was like, holy crow, you know, what are we going to do without her? Which is kind of selfish maybe, but it's kind of like that's how important she was to the family and to all of the things that happened and all our connections. So that was hard. And for me, a really scary part was, what if she never gets better? Like, what if this is forever? You know, like, it's like losing somebody. That way, that to me, I think was probably the hardest part.
I didn't leave my husband's side then for the next few weeks. I traveled in with him in his semi. It was a big responsibility for him, but he stuck by my side. I was a mess. I think we were both so preoccupied with my emotions that we kind of lost sight of my physical health because I deteriorated rather quickly. It wasn't until we really grasped how serious my situation was that we realized, you know, how sick that I had really become. I believe it was at this point when I hit my rock bottom that I really received the miracle of love. It was like I had a spiritual awakening. I found the inner strength to recover through prayer, and I began to pray. I felt like I was starting my life over with a clean slate. I learned how to choose love over fear, and I did it one step at a time. I identified my values of love and gratitude and forgiveness, and I committed myself to living out those values. That's how I began to heal. I realized that my anger and my blame that I projected onto anybody else only reflected back to myself. So I began to forgive. And the more I forgave, the better I felt. So it became easier for me to deal with my traumas that way. I also began to practice more self-kindness. And that was something that I had really been lacking, that is for sure. Trauma did lead me through a spiritual awakening, and that's how I was able to heal. This new commitment that I had made to my healing, I just felt so strong about it that I was starting my life over. That I felt like I needed to name it. It needed a symbol. It was like reinventing myself. And that's why I named it Wisdom Feather. Wisdom Feather was like a new beginning for me. It's how I left my traumas behind. So I wanted to create a logo that would represent that for me. And I thought I would put it on items and give it away to people that I loved or that were part of my healing journey. I reached out to my cousin Robert, an artist, to see if he would help me design a logo. Rob's a photographer and was working on building up his portfolio. So when he asked me if I would be willing to model for him, I felt comfortable with him and I trusted him. So I said, yeah, why not? I could do that. So we took some photos and I was really happy with how they turned out. They were great and I felt confident about them. Well, those pictures were shown to a local producer who was casting for a TV show that was going to be produced right here in Medicine Hat called Angel Dust. I was actually asked to submit an audition for a role, a speaking role on that show. It was shocking to me because I had never even done an audition before.
Israel? Oh, I miss you, old friend.
I've missed you too. Had a little bit too much to drink tonight.
You know, it's been kind of rough lately.
I was casted as Ezreal in a production being filmed here in Medicine Hat. I was in shock. You've been gone a really long time, and me and all the angels, we're rooting for you, just awaiting your return.
Hi, I'm Crystal Snow. I'm the owner of Break the Chain Productions, Inc. in Medicine Hat, Alberta. And I met Heather on the set of my film Angel Dust. I was kind of worried because I knew she had never acted before. So I was like, please let her be able to act a little bit. I was just blown away. I couldn't believe she had never acted before. And I was so happy because she had the exact look I wanted for the role of Azrael. Heather's character Azrael will be coming back for season 2, and be ready because there's some real fun stuff we have her doing this season. When she first came into my life, I had no idea some of the issues in her personal life she was dealing with at the time. She hit it well, for sure. But getting to know her and just watching her progress through her PTSD and her personal traumas has just been, it's been an experience. So, this woman is just amazing. So I'm so happy that she's worked through all her trauma, and it's like day and night from when I met her to now. She is just day and night. So absolutely love you, Heather.
The seriousness of the role set in when I received my lines. They were lengthy. There was a lot for me to remember. But I got busy and I recited those lines over and over and over again. I practiced and I practiced, and then trying to get into character. I spent a lot of time looking in the mirror, watching myself say these lines over and over and over. And I started to realize that it was actually good for me. It was good for my brain. It was good brain work for me. I was actually healing myself as I was practicing those lines and getting into character. We filmed in August 2021, and it was absolutely fantastic. I remembered my lines, and I loved every minute of it. I was surprised how comfortable I was in front of all the cameras, because there isn't just one camera, there's numerous cameras everywhere. And I was okay with that.
You disobeyed God. She hasn't forgotten. You lost your wings 12,000 years ago. When you get them back this time, keep them. Finish your final assignment. Then finish off Lucy. You know you can do it. God knows you can do it. She wouldn't give you anything you can't handle. Remember that. I need to get going. Stay focused. I'll see you in heaven soon, my friend.
I'll see you again soon as well.
So it was suggested to me that I reach out to a talent agent by the name of Daryl Mork in Edmonton. So I did. And I had to send off some photos and a short audition. And he actually did. He took me on his roster. So it wasn't long before I was receiving auditions for commercials, feature films, and other projects. As I would get these auditions, I would receive a script and immediately start to learn how to memorize lines. And I would work at it, and I would work at it. And it would be different characters. Each new audition was a new challenge. And it would be good work for my brain. I was building new synapses. To me, it was healing. It was good for me. It was a focus outward instead of inward. It was a way to push myself and think about other things. It was a healing practice for me. It really was. It helped me to heal from my trauma. I was forced to prove to myself that I could do it. And with each new role, it was a new challenge for me, a fresh focus. I honestly believe that this benefited my recovery in so many ways. I also think the timing was right. Laurie Ouellette was a good support for me as well. She asked me to participate in her own Story Hive documentary called The Strength of the Métis. I did appreciate her support and her help, and she's been a great mentor as well. Incidentally, she's the gal who shared my photos with the producer for Angel Dust. One audition in particular proved to be quite the experience for me. My agent got a hold of me and asked me if I knew how to ride a horse. I of course said yes, but it had been quite a few years. Then he asked if I could submit my audition over a text message within an hour. I of course said yes, and I submitted the audition, and the next thing you know, the casting director is calling me and asking me if I can ride at a gallop and get some riding in before filming in the next couple of months. Also, I needed to be on set the following morning at 7:30 a.m. in Leduc, which is about a 6-hour drive from my home. I was casted in Secret History Woman Warrior, a drama documentary to be aired on APTN. Julian Black Antelope was the director and creator. Plus, he starred in the production. I figured that out when I met him on set the following day. In order to get ready for the scenes on horseback, I called my Aunt Gladys and my Uncle Will, because I definitely felt like I needed some time with them. To treat my PTSD, I had been under the care of a psychiatrist and a psychologist. And I've been doing quite well with the talk therapy and the right medication. The key, however, was the actions that I took towards my recovery in my everyday life. And I needed to take action. I needed to put into practice the strategies that we would talk about in my therapy sessions. I made several trips out to Miniberries, spent a lot of time with my aunt. It was my aunt who pointed out how getting back on the horse for me was therapeutic and a healing path for me. I was reminded that I could trust and be confident in the saddle, close my eyes, let go of the reins, and be vulnerable and patient with myself. PTSD makes a person want to crawl up in a ball and just hide from the world. Yet here I was being brave, feeling like I was sitting on top of the world. The acting, all the different auditions, the riding, it all became a part of my action plan as I put into practice strategies to battle PTSD, such as learning to trust myself, self-care, self-love, patience, vulnerability, and forgiveness. It had been 16 years since I rode, so getting back in the saddle felt a little bit scary at first, but it wasn't long before I was feeling confident enough to hop in my car and head to Longview, Alberta, where filming for my next role was to take place. Instead of being nervous about the riding, it was the memorizing all the lines that I had. When filming day came, I packed my car and drove to location. It was at a beautiful location called the Scott Ranch. The Scott Ranch hosts many different productions over the years. It's famous for it. It's a beautiful place, and I actually got to meet John Scott myself when I was there. In January of 2022, I got the opportunity to go into treatment. I attended the treatment center in Calgary called the Newley Institute, and I felt very fortunate to be able to go and was more than ready to go. I was involved in yoga, drumming, meditation, therapy, massage, and EMDR. EMDR was highly effective for me. EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. I was actually discharged early, 2 weeks earlier than expected, which was good because being away from home was probably the hardest part of treatment for me. When I finished treatment, though, I just felt so refreshed. I was medically restricted from returning to my previous employment, so I was ready for some new beginnings anyway. Life seemed possible again. I was doing so much better, I felt like I wanted to just do something, but I didn't know what. I often think about, the other officers that I was in treatment with and wondered how they felt and what they were doing. One of the officers in particular, Chad, decided to walk across Canada to raise awareness for PTSD. And so I thought maybe we would just check in with him. Hey, Chad. What were you up to today?
Not a whole lot. Just getting stuff ready for the second leg of the walk.
You get a new tattoo on your arm, or have you always had that one there?
I did. No, I got this one just outside of Niagara Falls.
Oh, cool.
With the little semicolon, strikes up a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
And the right people know what it means. Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so.
I was thinking about some of the, I'm gonna get emotional here. thinking
That's allowed.
about some of the folks that I was in treatment with, and wishing the best, and just wondering about how some of you gentlemen have been. And you are one of the ones that I think about the most, because I see you the most, and I see your activity online, and I just hope that you're doing well. And I thought it would be a really good opportunity to just check in with you and see how you're doing, and just see how treatment was treating you, and how you were feeling after this experience we had at the Newly Center.
Yeah. Oh. Well, thank you for thinking of me. It's still a journey. My time at the Newly, I think, like most of us, was very impactful, very helpful, and sort of, I guess, the coaching they provide. I would always thank the clinicians for all the work that they do. Mm-hmm. But all my clinicians constantly reminded me that they're just they're there to coach and help us along. So it's one of those things through the Newly that I learned that I am part of the healing team. So it was the probably the most I took from that was that this is my healing journey, and they were there to help me face my demons, and give me more tools to work with, and be able to deal with things on a daily basis on my own, which is kind of cool, refreshing.
Refreshing's a good word. Like, I know for me, when I left treatment, I just felt like a new person. Like, I just felt like I got to leave behind so much agony, and I felt refreshed. Like, I just wanted to just start my life over again as a new person, and just step out into the world and just do great things. And I'm working on this documentary, so I guess that's part of that for me. But I know for you, you've gone and taken a huge step, and you've taken on this C2C for PTSD, and I just watch you grow and glow as you do that. Is this walk that you're doing part of your healing journey?
Yes, 150% yes. And it's healing me. It helps others, which obviously, it hits us in the heart when you can help somebody else through their challenges. I don't like using the word struggle, through their challenges. It's an amazing journey. Being physical and being out in nature, and how that helps one process, and really is amazing therapy.
And it's so nice to hear about different types of therapy and different avenues people can take to help heal their PTSD. Like, for me, I got in touch with my creative side, which was like, I never would have even imagined that would be something that I would get involved with. But it has opened up new avenues for me, and it's been good for me, and it's taken me strides away from my PTSD that I almost forget that I suffered with it for so long. It's like I've just got this new life, so it's so helpful to be able to get involved in something that you wouldn't imagine that it would be so helpful, and then it just whisks you away into another dimension.
Yes, that is so well put. Post-traumatic growth. When we hit that dark rabbit hole in our post-traumatic stress journey, we can't see how much good is actually out there. Mm-hmm. And it's that demon in our head that fills us with the negative stuff. And once you start going through this healing journey, it's, I don't know what else to call it. There's so much growth, and you see all the good sides of everybody and everything that happens around us. But when you're going through the dark moments with mental health, and people start adding tools to your toolbox, and they help you, you see so much good. And it's more frustrating watching the negativity in the world. And you're like, man, why can't we just love each other? There's so much good out there.
And what was when you decided to do C2C for PTSD, what was your ultimate goal? Like, what was your plan? What was your hope to accomplish?
If anybody has followed me on social media, I used the date of August 2nd, 2020, where Captain Morgan, he and I had developed a plan for suicide. And thankfully, he's also the gentleman that said, hey, screw it. Why don't we walk the country to raise awareness and start critical conversations surrounding mental health and post-traumatic stress. I was able to really find my purpose in life. So soul searching. So that mission's accomplished. Really, if there was a plan or a goal, it was just to start a conversation with those that may not be able to start the conversation in the workplace.
Yeah.
Be that voice for the voiceless, as somebody said to me the other day. It's amazing how many of us have been kissed with post-traumatic stress.
I sure appreciate you chiming in here to chat with me a little bit and be a part of my documentary for Story Hive. And
this is cool.
Yeah, we'll see where this goes, because this is my way of creating some awareness for PTSD as well.
Yes. Oh, good. You know what? I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate what you're doing. The more voices we have, the better. And fingers crossed. Man, good on you. And if there's anything I can do for you or help you out with, you know where to find me.
Yeah, I sure do. All right. Thanks, Chad. Take care. All the best. And good luck with the rest of your walk.
Right on. Thanks, Heather.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
I have so many people to be grateful for. My friends and my family, especially my mom. My cousin Robert, who's been a very special part of my healing journey. Without him, I don't know what I would have done. I thank Lori for her support, including me in her success, to Crystal Snow for mentoring me and giving me the opportunity to be a part of her team moving ahead, and finally to my husband, who's been my hero, who stood behind me and beside me through the best of it and the worst of it. My healing journey through the arts has been rewarding It's been exciting. And really, it's got to me to where I want to be, is just living my best life and being myself. It really doesn't matter where it goes from here. It's nice to just be able to know that I'm just doing what's good for me and what's best for me. And that I feel happy. PTSD is in my past, and it's not part of my future. And that's the best way that I can describe my healing, is that I'm looking ahead, and I've left a lot of pain behind me through forgiveness and love. And that's what Wisdom Feather is all about for me, is about moving ahead with my life, away from the PTSD and away from the trauma and the pain. And just starting anew.
You speak of whiskey.
Why does your government want to put more forts on our lands? We already have so many.
Don't shoot! Drop that rifle!
Nistua, Natuit Sixtina of the Weasel people.
Gabriel, it's good to see you again.
Israel? I miss you, old friend.
I've missed you too. I had a little bit too much to drink tonight.
You know, it's been kind of rough lately.
Hang in there, Gabriel. I mean, you're down to your last assignment. Stay focused. You've been gone a really long time, and me and all the angels, we're rooting for you, just awaiting your return.
For a long, long time. Didn't tell you about that long.
Okay, well, I've heard you're making progress. And as a matter of fact, God herself sent me to you to deliver a message.